This morning on BRN, part two of our conversation about a lifetime of learning. And we're going to welcome back to the program Andy Madigan. He's a director at the SS&C Learning Institute. Andy, so great to have you back. Thanks for joining us again this morning.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Great to be back.
And when we ended our conversation about what's in it for the employer, because people have to be motivated to do something, right? It's got something in it for themselves or for their organization. And I want to start off by kind of following up with that and saying, why is it important for employers to create learning curricula for their employees? Why does it matter, and why should they focus on this?
Well, it's really important. So let me explain why. When you go on to anything from a university prospectus to, and I mean prospectus for small courses to a learning library like the Learning Institute have, you're going to have hundreds of options. And it's very hard to align exactly to what's going to work for your organization, what's going to help with your career. And that's where the employers can really step in and provide a real added value. So you've got to remember, for the employer, the employees are going to go and do the study, and they're going to do it in their own time. They're going to do it possibly during work time, but they're doing the work. So by facilitating that, you get the opportunity to guide your staff to train for the needs that you have or are going to have. It's going to really improve productivity by allowing leaders, HR teams to be able to identify where there's needs within productivity of the organization and focus there. So, for example, if we were bookbinders and we were noticing, okay, we're really missing out on people who know how to stitch the seams, then we create a curricula that's going to include that and all associated areas. And then it's available there for the team. It's just really allows the alignment of learning to the business goals. Isn't that what every organization wants? From an employee's perspective, the employer is able to nurture talent, help with the succession planning, preparing people for leadership positions, building up those skills. It's, very few people start their career path thinking about how am I going to manage an organization? How am I going to sit on the board of a company? But as people progress, they're going to need all those things. And that's part of lifelong learning. And if an employer is being sensible and thinking about how is our company going to grow, how are we going to handle it when instead of having one office, we've got 10 offices, instead of being in one country, we're in 10 countries, they need to be creating curricula that's going to prepare the team to take that growth with the company.
And Andy, you talk about, a lot of organizations are focused on the bottom line. Look, we have, we're creating something, a product. We're trying to work on our earnings, right? If we're a public company, how do you create a culture of learning? So shifting the mindset to not just meeting those basic needs, right? The production, creating the product, distributing it, worrying about earnings, but then creating a culture of lifetime learning.
Well, I can speak from personal experience because I'm leading a couple of teams here in SS&C, and we are, as teams, we are really good at making learning part of everything we do. And we're blessed because we've got access to all of SS&C Learning Institute's library of content, which suits most of our needs. Um, and we make it part of the team goals. So when we're outlining what do we want to achieve during this quarter, we're looking, naturally, we have to look at the bottom line. We're looking at growth. We're looking at improving the offering we have for our clients, but we're also looking at the growth of the team's knowledge. And we measure that by what people have achieved. So each team member will sit down with their manager and usually with a few peers and work out, okay, well, during this year, I want to learn about this, and this area, and, tie it to their role, but also to the business. So sometimes it'll be, a person in one role will learn a bit about a different role. And even though it's not the role that they're going to take up, it means they'll be better able to understand other members of the team. And that is all taken in from a management perspective of this is growing the capabilities of the team. So this is part of our team goals. There's other parts which are surprising, and the biggest surprise I see in every organization I've worked in and a lot of the clients we deal with is ease of access. So everyone to some extent wants to learn, some people more than others, but how people are able to access learning is where there's real challenges. And that's where, online learning, which is the main area of SS&C Learning Institute, it creates that ease of access. And how many clicks do I have to make? That's really important. So if I'm going to spend time logging into one area, authenticating on another area, then trying to find something. So we've developed our platform to make this really easy. With most of our clients, we've got seamless integrations to their network. And these things are really important because if somebody has 15 minutes between now and their next meeting or their next call or their next task, if it's going to take them 5 minutes to actually get to some learning, they'll put it off, they'll get a coffee instead. But if they're able to really quickly just dive in, pick up where they left off, get another bit of learning done, that's actually doing more to create a culture of learning than a lot of other things, just that ease of access. And there's other ways of creating that ease of access, like creating learning programs where the L&D team within an organization will actually reach out and try and find people who want to engage, want help with creating curricula or creating a specialized plan, and having that ability for personalized development and learning paths. It's something that SS&C Learning Institute is releasing this quarter is a skills-based part of our platform where somebody can pick a skill and automatically find here's a learning path based on that skill. So rather than looking at course titles, which can be very general, they can be, all encompassing. So, it might be something like accounting and go, okay, well, there's about 100 different types of accounting, or it might be retirement planning. There's lots of different areas for that. This trying to get people right down to that level of skills so that they can focus on what they want to learn. And the employer, by having a platform like that, is actually creating a culture of learning because it's breaking down that ease of access or breaking down the difficulty of access to make it easy for people to access learning, grow their knowledge at any point in time.
Yeah, I have to think that artificial intelligence is probably one of the skills that a lot, a lot of people are going to be signing up for. Andy, as we close out this morning's part two segment, I want to ask you about technology. And you hinted at some of this, with the clicks, minimizing the number of clicks. But how is technology being deployed to create the culture and make it easier to skill or upskill? I'm going to call it upskill. I don't know if that's the cool term, but I'm going to call it upskill to upskill employees. So how is technology being utilized?
Well, upskill, great word. And I'm going to just trim a little bit off that and just focus on skill. So that's the biggest change I'm seeing technology having on education, on learning. And that's like my answer to your last question. It's focusing on skills rather than courses, rather than degrees. As you get more and more granular, you're able to pinpoint exactly what you need to know when you need to know it, which ties into how technology is changing the whole workplace. Everything's moving lightning fast. Everyone's aware that AI can provide a quick enough answer. So I need to have that skill now. I don't have time to go and spend 6 months studying a course when I know that my colleague, instead of asking me, could type it into an AI engine and get possibly correct, possibly incorrect, but they can get a quick answer.
Mm-hmm.
So technology and the analysis of learning to tie it to skills and then creating, with the help of AI actually, creating hierarchies of skills to allow for fast access to learning. That's one big change that AI and machine learning is having on learning and development. I talked about speed of access and ease of access, but it's also speed of deployment. So um, we have multiple models of learning in the SS&C Learning Institute. So we do everything from classroom training, we do ILS training, virtual live training, and then online training. But we're also moving to micro learning and rapid deployment learning. So with micro learning, it's again looking at those skill levels, small nuggets. It might be a white paper on retirement investing. It might be a short video that's going to focus on one topic. And instead of being formal, instead of being tracked, instead of having exams, it's just the little thing, that the micro learning credential that you want. I found out that. Um, and for the speed of deployment that I mentioned, just to explain that a bit, it's allowing anyone within an organization to become a teacher. So that means instead of having to go to an L&D department who will then go to the content creation group, who will write a course, plan it, research it, design it, that you can sit down with your phone, record a video of a piece of information you want to do, or you can capture off your screen as you're showing somebody how to do something in a tool, or in a more old-fashioned manner, just write an article, create a PowerPoint, and to be able to immediately upload and deploy that. So the platforms are supporting that instead of the slower process. So you'll see a trend here. Everything I'm talking about, it's all about going faster, getting things done in a more efficient way. And that's really where I'm seeing technology changing things a lot. But then taking it the other side, it's enabling people to exist in this changing work environment. So digital credentials are a big change, and I call them movable transcripts. Digital credentials is a much more fashionable term, but the ability to take your learning transcript from one platform to import it into another, that means that the learner starts owning their learning. So in the early days of my career, the first LMSs that I studied on in different organizations and worked on, um, you studied there, it was recorded there, and you went to your next career hop, and you left all that behind. You could write down, oh yeah, I did this and this, but you'd no proof, you'd no formal record. That's changed now with XAPI and similar blockchain credentials are allowing people to take their online study and sometimes
Yeah.
in-person study with them. And that's a great innovation for the individual and a great benefit, because if you are a lifelong learner, apart from the learning benefits, you really want something that you can take with you.
It's more than, as you said, it's more than writing it down or typing it on the resume. Andy, great discussion. I think you have to have the right mindset when it comes to learning. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thanks a lot, Jeffrey.
Thanks, Andy. Great to see you. Thanks for sharing your perspective. And don't forget to subscribe to our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Details at our website. And we're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRN. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.